a warning?
There's nothing to worry about.
I'm worried that you work in an office. Have children. Celebrate wedding anniversaries. The world of heterosexual is a sick and boring life.
Inviting me down there on such short notice. Even if I wanted to go, my schedule wouldn't allow it. 4 o'clock, wallow in self-pity. 4:30, stare into the abyss. 5 o'clock, solve world hunger. Tell no one. 5:30, jazzercise. 6:30, dinner with me. I can't cancel that again. 7 o'clock, wrestle with my self-loathing. I'm booked. Of course, if I want the loathing to 9, I could still be done in time to lay in bed, stare at the ceiling, and slip slowly into madness. But what would I wear?
Welcome back to the show, listeners.
Merry Christmas. It's our Christmas week episode.
Yes,
Christmas
indeed.
is later in the week, so this is kind of an early holiday episode, the official Christmas episode.
All right. Sounds good. Listeners, I hope you are all dealing with your family if you celebrate. And if you don't, we're here to
Give you a podcast break.
Fill your timeline with some Christmas cheer or some cheer. Listeners, it's going to be really fun. I hope you're ready for it. My name's Pete.
And I'm Scott, and these are the movies that made us gay. Friend of mine, Jess. Friend of mine I haven't seen you in a couple months.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Coworker of mine from TJ's. I often joke that we're coming for the Inside Trader Joe's podcast, that I think that I've had more crew members on our show than have gone on the official podcast.
Oh.
But very good to catch up with you tonight.
Yeah, super excited to be here.
Awesome. Glad to have you.
We're talking about a pretty fun movie.
Oh, yeah.
A movie that I feel like we would quote a lot during our shifts together.
Yeah.
We would rattle off bullshit from this movie a lot.
Definitely. Something about the Grinch that encapsulates the, customer service experience.
Oh my God.
I think probably at random times of the day just quoting some line Jim Carrey says. But you guessed it. We're talking about Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Is that the full title of this movie?
That's the full title. Much like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, I was gonna say, much like Mario Puzo's The Godfather, more like it.
Which I would probably group them all three of those movies together.
Right. That's very interesting. I didn't really even know that was the official title. Thank you very much, Coppola, for rubbing off on your buddy Ron Howard.
Yeah, directed by Ron Howard, screenplay by Jeffrey Price and Peter S. Seaman, based on the book by Dr. Seuss, produced by Brian Grazer and Ron Howard. Not the first Ron Howard movie that we have talked about. We have done another movie that we did earlier this year. We just talked about Splash.
Okay.
And this movie was released nationwide November 17th, the year 2000.
Wow.
Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas was a massive success the year that it came out. It was the highest grossing film in the year 2000 domestically, and the sixth highest grossing film of 2000 worldwide, in addition to becoming the second highest grossing holiday movie behind Home Alone in 1990, until it was surpassed by the 2018 animated movie, The Grinch.
What?
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So the animated Illumination Grinch broke its record.
Interesting.
I don't know about that. We were just talking about the Illumination Grinch. We were not impressed. Mm-hmm. We're not featuring it.
Okay, so I think I read that right. It was the highest grossing film of 2000 domestically and the sixth highest grossing film of the year. So that must have just been worldwide.
Okay.
There was something that probably kind of topped it out.
Sure.
And it's gross. But The Grinch.
Yes, Ron Howard's The Grinch.
Ron Howard. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, directed by Ron Howard.
Okay, so in the year 2000, y'all, Christmas movies in the year 2000, I was, a grown-ass adult at this point.
You weren't going to The Grinch.
So, I remember seeing the trailers and being and kind of understanding, like, okay, Ron Howard's doing this movie, Jim Carrey, like all of that, and then the trailer came out, and I was like, oh, so you're trying to make a Tim Burton movie? So I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you because it starts off on that hill,
the Edward Scissorhands. kind of.
the like curly little Nightmare Before Christmas hill.
I guess I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was my
Tim Burton's.
That was my snap judgment upon seeing 30 seconds of the trailer.
Tim Burton's fingerprints are on everything in Hollywood, and
especially at that time.
Now that you mention it, I can totally see it.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if they were going for him at some point, but since Brian Grazer's involved, and I'm sure like Ron Howard was at the very top of the list.
Brian Grazer and Ron Howard, huge players at Universal at the time. So I remember first hearing about this movie when I was visiting family and we were doing the Universal Studios backlot tour.
Okay.
And they were filming it. That they said Ron Howard's How the Grinch Stole Christmas is currently filming on the lot. And they're on the biggest sound stages that are in use right now.
See, so they did. So the Whoville set was on a stage.
It was on a stage.
Yeah,
not sitting in the parking lot where it was for 35 years.
No, it was not next to the Bates Motel.
Okay,
we can talk about a little bit about that later. But I remember sitting on the tour, just being like, "Excuse me."
Like, say what?
Jim
Say
Carrey?
what? Jim
Yeah.
Carrey, The Grinch.
Yeah.
And just thinking, how are they going to do this movie? And I remember I went back to Universal the following year, and they were still talking about this Grinch movie. And this was right before probably any of the marketing came out.
Right.
And I remember going to this movie and being pretty excited for it.
Yeah.
That it was a movie that I had fully been following for almost 2 years at that point.
Yeah. Did they talk about it like on the tram ride?
They talked about it on the tram ride that they were currently filming it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And like holiday season, the year 2000, I remember going to this in my small town theater and maybe not being that impressed with it. I think that I was excited for it, but maybe one of those things that maybe just a lot of build up, and then once I saw it, I was just a little disappointed with it.
But I mean, obviously, it's one of those movies that kind of like you grow to appreciate.
It's one of the things. Yeah.
On first viewing, you're like, "What am I looking at?"
Yeah.
There's so much going on, and I can also like the makeup is crazy. I mean, Jim Carrey's makeup is one thing, and it's kind of amazing, right? But the Who's look nuts.
Insane.
Yeah,
They
the
look
details.
And when you look at the bonus materials on the Blu-ray, you can see the tests that they were going to put the Who's in, that
They're
they
gonna be
were
even crazier.
that they were maybe going to go for a
Yeah.
more literal Who look, and it just looked too wild.
Yeah.
And they had to scale it back.
I feel like I remember seeing that on the DVD special features when I had it.
Yeah, they're the same special features
Yeah.
that are on our nice 4K.
So like how you mentioned that it's a movie that I've kind of come around to.
Yeah, of
that
course.
when I revisit this movie in the past few years, I have a real appreciation for just how funny Jim is.
Yeah.
Like I think it's low key one of his best performances of just this is almost like a one-man show.
Oh, definitely.
This is like you're seeing a crazy off-Broadway production
Right.
of The Grinch, and he's just kind of given carte blanche to do whatever the fuck that he wants.
Yeah, it's definitely like a showcase of like all of his skills combined.
Not a great movie, I will say, but it is one that does make me chuckle.
Yeah.
And why I wanted to talk about it on our show is that I do think that there's some queer coding in this movie.
Oh, yeah,
that we can
definitely.
get into later, but before we get too into the rest of the movie, Jess, tell me about your background with How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
So it's funny that you bring up Universal Studios because I remember seeing it for the first time at City Walk when at the movie theater over there.
Yeah.
And I remember like, I think I was around 8 years old. It came out 2000. But my sister has like a big age gap. So we're like 13 years apart. So it was kind of like
Older or younger?
Older. So she's older.
She couldn't have been 13
Sure.
years younger.
Yeah, she would have been minus 3 years old. Yeah.
I was carrying her thoughts, you know, with me. But yeah, so it was kind of like the things that I would do with my siblings was like, okay, they'll take me to the movies. But I remember like watching it for the first
The
time.
City Walk Theater is such an exciting theater to go to as a kid.
It was, yeah.
too.
And it was always like a treat for us. And like, I mean, you know, in a way, it's kind of like, oh, Universal is just on the other side. This is what we can afford.
Yeah,
you know?
that's what gets you. Like every now and then, my dad really liked the Knott's Berry Farm fried chicken restaurant, the Mrs. Knott's, and we would go, just to the restaurant,
just for
and
the
I'm
restaurant.
Like,
and then you
we're
can,
here.
you can really
funnel
see
cake.
the park.
You're like right in front of the ticket booth.
Exactly.
on.
That was our routine. We would go to the movies, or we would take the train up there, go to the movies, and then get Tommy's when I was up there. And I was like,
I think the Tommy's is still there.
Is it? It's still there?
The overpriced Taco Bell.
It's in the food court. Yeah.
When we lived in East Hollywood, we were like the fucking mayors of City Walk because that was our closest AMC when we had the A-list. So we would go to that theater all the time. So we just became like that familiar with that trek to City Walk. The year 2000. Guess what movie I saw opening weekend there?
Oh, which movie?
Coyote Ugly.
Oh no!
Yep.
That would have been a good one.
I saw Coyote Ugly at
one.
City
Yeah.
Walk opening weekend.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, so your older sister took you to see it. Awesome.
Oh yeah, I just remember
Love that.
being like enamored by the movie.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, like the part where he kind of like turns and faces the camera for the first time and like hits that little grin.
Yep.
Like I remember my stomach being like, oh my gosh. And like when I was younger too, like my parents are a little bit older, so like I really like always watched the original cartoon, the Boris Karloff one. And so like it did feel like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing like something old become like modernized.
Okay, that's really cool. I like, because I didn't grow up on the animated special.
Oh, no?
Nor did I
did.
see this in the
I used to watch that shit in like July.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I'm telling you, I watched Charlie Brown. I watched Garfield. Maybe the Smurfs. But wouldn't watch the Grinch. I don't know. It wasn't because I didn't want to. I just never got around. I don't know. It was weird.
We were
just busy.
It was on television last night, and we watched it live.
It was
on NBC. It
was on Channel 4,
it went to NBC this year.
Yeah.
Oh,
with all the rest of the Rankin Bass specials that we watched it last night.
Yeah.
One of the best animated shorts of all time.
So good.
And there's something about the Chuck Jones drawings that are just so beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
Those lines, they do it for me every time.
Yeah, and the eyelashes.
Yep.
Yes,
The eyelashes.
and they did such a good job in this movie of kind of replicating the look and giving. Even the Grinch had, his big
His
stacked,
falsies.
Well, his stacked eyelashes.
Individuals.
And there's something so great about the character design of the Grinch that is in the Chuck Jones short because you can make him mean or grotesque, but then at the end when he has his big like moment where his heart grows
3 sizes.
3 sizes that day, he looks so sweet.
Yeah.
Like, so it's kind of
cuddly.
fun to see that style of animation that you can go in the polar opposite directions. Like, he looks like Bugs Bunny in those last scenes.
It's like the Tom and Jerry, like
Yes,
when they go from being like romantic to
I love
wanting
the
to kill
Chuck
each
Jones,
other.
Tom and Jerry. That look is like the coolest, like of all the designs.
But yeah, the Boris Karloff narration, so good.
Yeah.
Love
See,
it.
and the thing about the special is that it's like with commercials, it's like 22 minutes long. And this movie is like over 2 hours.
Yeah. We'll get into everything that they add.
There's like we're watching this movie and like they're in town and there's Jeffrey Tambor and now we're climbing the mountain and blah blah, blah and I'm like, that cartoon is over.
Yeah.
We haven't even thought about stealing Christmas, and we are maybe just over an hour in.
Yeah. I'm like, Mama, they padded this one out. And that's what I feel like is, if any of Scott's critiques of this movie is that there is a lot of plot. We were kind of talking about this off mic. I was like, we're not going to do a recap because there is so much plot.
Yeah.
We couldn't do a recap.
It's also kind of a Simpsons episode where it's just joke,
Yeah.
which I do like, and
Which
it's
is fine.
something.
Yeah, I'm okay
and
with
it's
it.
something that you don't really see in movies now, or movies this joke heavy.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the things that when I was on the Backlot tour when I was a kid, just thinking, how are they going to do that? Like that is like a 20-page children's book.
Yeah.
Right. Well, not only is it's the length is one thing. the visual style of the book and the animated special
How does it lend to live action?
Mm-hmm. And then how are we going to have people do this, right? So it's just, okay, it's just going to take this creative vision. And they pulled it off to, for the most part. But as far as like, I've got a lot of questions about who's and the Dr. Seuss extended universe. We can get into that.
I know.
But I think
other side of the mountain.
Yeah, are these the same who's that Horton heard?
I think so.
I think they are. But I think there was something about maybe Ron. I mean, Scott and I have this kind of running joke about Ron Howard kind of being like, not quite an auteur. Like, is there really a Ron Howard style? I don't know.
I think there kind of is. I think that his style is just very sincere movies.
Sincere, sure.
Sincere movies, and he's the
but
type
do they have
of
a visual style. I
not
don't
really.
know.
He's kind of all across the board,
right?
And I mean, Ron Howard is somebody that is so beloved in this town that he's been working since he's a child.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He's worked his way up to directing these major Hollywood movies. And, I mean, it's no shocker that the year after The Grinch comes out, he wins Best Picture and Best Director for A Beautiful Mind.
Right.
Just the massive amounts of goodwill that Ron Howard has in Los Angeles.
Right.
Yeah.
And so with material this crazy, visually crazy, story-wise, kind of all over the map, but somehow it works, right? Somehow here we are 24, going on 25 years later, still talking about it. And then 3 years later, we get The Cat in the Hat, and it's really clearly striving to recreate that, and it just doesn't work.
I would even kind of bring up another point of just how this was a big game changer for Hollywood blockbusters.
Yeah.
This is the year before something like Shrek, which was a huge cultural reset for family entertainment.
Yeah.
But you can see it in something like the Ron Howard Grinch.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there's just something in the combination of like Jim Carrey, Ron Howard, and then the writing team, right? And then you get somebody like Mike Myers who, it worked in Austin Powers. Like his over-the-top crazy humor works in some places. But maybe who directed The Cat in the Hat?
It's Bo Welch.
Bo Welch.
Yeah.
Not a...
production designer.
He's a production designer. He's not really a...
shot by
known
Chivo.
for being a director. Right? So there's good people involved.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe Bo Welch as a director wasn't quite... I don't know. It just didn't have the same connectivity.
There wasn't, like, charm.
I also think
Yes.
that The Grinch has a narrative and a story arc that something like The Cat in the Hat, it's
kind of like two punk ass kids.
It's two punk ass kids and this cat fucking shit up and
a little more unlikable. I mean, the Grinch is unlikable, but there was just something in Jim Carrey's performance that you do like him. And the Cat in the Hat is an asshole, but with Mike Myers' performance, just like fuck that guy.
Also, when Dr. Seuss wrote How the Grinch Stole Christmas, is that this is a classic. It's the classic Christmas Carol arc of change. That it was Scrooge's. He was a he was a miser that liked his money, but he learned to he learned his ways.
Yeah.
Through all these ghosts showing of just what being a shitty person can do. And it's kind of that Grinch arc too. And that's kind of the very classic Christmassy elements in the story that I think that I just respond to. Yeah. That I think that just the original story is just so powerful for that very reason.
Oh yeah, the Christmas nostalgia.
Yeah. And I think that lends itself maybe to an arc better than something like The Cat in the Hat.
I think so too. That Grinch was like the underdog for sure,
Yeah.
the anti-hero, because I mean, he kind of reflects the disdain towards like all the commercialism and all of that stuff.
It's interesting that even at the very beginning of the movie, even Cindy Lou is like kind of anti-commercialism, and she's just like, why are we doing this? Like, okay, little kid, I see you. So like she at the start kind of has this connection with the Grinch and this seeing through the consumerism of Christmas. And that's kind of like, oh, okay, this is a kid's movie. And the kid is the one that's calling this out. All right. Okay. So they have like big
Interesting.
ideas.
Yeah. Before we get too into the story, I wanted to mention before his death in 1991, Dr. Seuss, Theodore Geisel, he consistently declined offers to sell the film rights to his books. But following his passing, his widow, Audrey Geisel, became kind of shopping certain things with his brand that had to do with merchandising deals, and Universal got the rights to the Grinch in the late 90s.
Okay.
And the terms were very stringent that I guess that in the contract, suitors had to be willing to pay $5 million up front, 4% of the box office, 50% of merchandising revenue, and 70% of book tie-in profits and music-related income. So Theodore Geisel's widow became very rich from selling off this material.
Was there a lot of Grinch merchandise after this
I think
movie?
that around this time there was.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember too much, but I'm sure there was.
Just like Hallmark stuff of just kind of putting the Grinch's face on Christmas decorations.
Right.
Too.
And she had a separate one for books too, because it was probably a whole new print of books with different covers and all that.
Oh yeah,
But
the
just-
movie cover
yeah.
on it.
So when this movie was in development at Universal, I guess that some of the directors that were submitting pitches to Universal were the Farrelly brothers and John Hughes.
I think the Farrelly brothers could have made something work. John Hughes,
especially like late '90s Farrelly brothers.
yeah, and John Hughes could have had a good script, I'm sure. But yeah, interesting that.
But just I think
this
that Universal just went back to a director that has won them Oscars and made them a lot of money,
Right.
Too. So
Is this pre or post the first Scooby-Doo movie?
Scooby-Doo was 2002.
Okay, so this is right before that. I think was the Flintstones kind of the first foray into all right, we're going to make this shit work.
Yeah.
And to varying degrees of success. Visually, the Flintstones movie is
Quite successful.
pretty cool
Yeah.
visually.
it is.
But storyline, and you watch it, you're like, what is happening? I don't care about this industrial espionage and this Flintstones.
Inner office politics.
Yeah. No, I think they went the wrong tack with that. But I kind of feel like that kicked off this wave of live action, interpretations of these animated projects. But this movie has a pretty good cast of comedic actors in it.
Pretty star-filled.
Yes, yeah,
Both from stage and screen.
Yes. Because obviously we think of Jim Carrey, but Christine Baranski. Get
my
out of
God.
here,
Martha May
Yes.
Whoville.
Martha May Whovier.
Whovier, excuse me.
Whovier.
Yeah. But even Cindy Lou's father, the
Oh
mailman.
yeah,
Bill
I
Irwin.
was reading that.
Yeah, Bill Irwin. He was a comedian. He's he did
I think he's a big Broadway actor.
he's he's a stage actor. He did this style of clowning that was very avant-garde. He did a lot of Sesame Street or children's TV, and would do that. He was very his I don't know if he has a dancing background, but he's very physical, and he moves his body and does these crazy things that you're like, what the fuck? But I always remember seeing him on Sesame Street, and he did a Cosby Show episode and was this weird theater guy. Molly Shannon.
I was
Oh,
obsessed
love
with Molly Shannon.
So
From
good.
Saturday Night Live.
I love Molly Shannon.
As a kid, you
obsessed with Molly Shannon.
Mary Catherine Gallagher.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true. I was too. I loved that cast, and she was so good. And let's see, who else do we have in here? Oh, Mindy Sterling, another Austin Powers connection. Frau Farbissina.
The gay, one of the many queer elements of the story. Does the Grinch have two gay moms?
Clamella and Rose.
Some roommates. Roommates that have lived together.
Lifelong roommates.
Oh my god.
that raised a child.
Throwing this crazy party. Okay, we need to get into
Oh,
just
yeah.
the backstory
The
of the
party.
Grinch, but any more table setting of just kind of the cast?
Yeah.
Jeffrey Tambor.
Jeffrey Tambor, yeah. I was trying to see if young Martha May Whovier continued acting, and she has nothing super spectacular, but she's still working. She's still doing things, TV and some little smaller movies, but she's still acting.
And if
Landry
Ron
Albright.
Howard makes a movie his brother Clint.
You better know Clint's going to be
probably
going
to be in there somewhere.
You better know Clint's going to be in that movie. Yes.
It appears to be in the shape of a big boy, sir.
Another Austin Powers connection.
Wow.
Very interesting. Well, that's the thing too. It's like we've got to fill out this story, right? It's a very bare bones kind of like outline. So we've got to create this story. And for the most part, I think it's successful. I
would say that the backstory of the Grinch is something that I think should not work, but it oddly kind of does.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, a lot of times we get into that territory of like, do we need to know why they're a misunderstood villain, right? Why they are the way they are?
Yeah.
They,
Does this town just have a bunch of shitty people?
Yeah.
Like, just a bunch of dickheads.
What's wrong with this dude wanting to like fuck up Christmas because all they do is sing songs about what a piece of shit you are?
Yeah.
And he just minds his business.
Yeah. Yeah. But we get the backstory, but I think it's cute. There's some good stuff in there.
Josh Ryan Evans from Passions plays 8-year-old baby Grinch.
Yes,
that's
young
right.
Grinch. We love
baby Grinch.
He's so good too.
Yeah.
There's some shots of him. I think that when he's looking in the mirror and he has like and he has
crazy razor,
and he has the razor. Just like the performance on Josh's face and his
because he had
expression
to have that makeup too.
is
through
so
the makeup.
good.
Yeah.
I was thinking that too when I was doing my rewatch. When he was kind of giving young Martha May the eyes, I was like, look at his flirty little face. Like, he's really selling it.
Yeah. That's interesting because there's a lot of talk about Jim Carrey and his experience being on set in this makeup, right? And it's like, okay, it's a big mask, but when he describes it, he says like every part of his face is covered, right? And I think about like astronauts or whatever, and they're like under this helmet, and you're like, what if you just have to like scratch your nose and you can't get to it, right? And it's like that thing where it's like he can touch his face but he can't, like it's underneath all that, but then he's also wearing the full bodysuit with
like
the gloves
and the
and the fur and everything. He's just like, every part of my body is completely covered, and the contacts and the teeth, like everything, right? And so there's like stories about saying that he had to undergo like hypnotism,
the
and
CIA.
Yeah, what is it? They're like training
kind of
or
enduring
whatever,
torture.
endurance.
Yeah.
To like disassociate.
Punch it. I read something where he was like punching his leg so that he wouldn't think about like,
oh my god,
like the annoying like, feeling
if
on
you
his
have
face.
an itch on your face or whatever. Yeah,
So
that's wild to
Kazuhiro,
me.
who was
Yeah.
the makeup assistant for Rick Baker,
Yes.
he recalled Carrey being kind of difficult to work with on set and being irritable and disappearing during shoots. This led to production delays and footage of Jim just kind of maybe lashing out on set a little bit.
There's
too.
that footage, and they use it in like blooper reels.
I
Him
think I
and
know
Jeffrey
what you're talking
Tambor.
Yeah.
And he bites Jeffrey Tambor's nose and rips the makeup off his face.
Yeah, I
And
was
I'm-
thinking about that one.
And I'm thinking, well, this must be the end of the day, because why would he do that knowing that it would take that much longer to he was just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like at this point, he's like, I'm finished. He's finished. We're done.
Yeah,
So
no going back after this.
Yeah.
I was funny because I remember that one specifically and thinking that like, no, there's no way that like, I don't know, you can kind of see like on Jeffrey Tambor's face too, where
Yeah.
he's kind of like,
Yes. And Jeffrey Tambor is the guy that made Jessica Walter cry on set of
oh, that's right.
of Arrested Development.
Yeah.
So this is a man that will yell at you on set.
He's an SOB.
And we'll call you,
Yeah.
we'll call you names on set. And Jim Carrey, I mean, probably not Jim Carrey. He probably, even in the year 2000, I think he knew better than to like call out Jim Carrey on stage. But, that happened. And that is, I always remember going, what the fuck?
Yeah,
This is
like-
crazy. And how are they putting this in blooper reels?
It's like everybody's just like,
Yeah, yes.
we're all laughing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I could
that.
imagine like the makeup artist just being like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would imagine that they would have just like row after row of those noses. Just like, all right, here's today's, get it on,
That's true.
But still, like, that's, yeah, to me, that was him saying, we're finished. I'm done. I'm leaving. Everybody go home.
Yeah.
Because that seemed like a lot. And that poor kid at the time, gosh, he was born in 82. So, he was a teenager, but still that's rough. And for, somebody that age to be in that much makeup, he didn't have too many scenes, but still it probably had to endure quite a bit of uncomfortableness through the shoot. So, yeah, we always hear about Jim going through all that, but what's his name?
Jim Carrey, especially at this time. Like,
Was this after The Truman Show?
This was the year after The Man in the Moon, the movie that
he played,
walked around
Andy Kaufman.
like a crazy person throughout all of production.
Yeah.
And they made like a whole documentary about how difficult he was to work with.
Yeah, the Jim and Andy one.
Yeah.
I was hearing a story from Jim that Dr. Seuss's widow, when they were kind of courting her with his casting, because I think that she needed approval, that they brought her to the Man on the Moon set, and she met him, and probably one of the rare occurrences where Jim had to break character.
Oh, yeah.
And talk to her. Yeah.
I think I saw or read something like that where he had to be Andy Kaufman playing Jim Carrey, playing like the Grinch.
Yeah. I really liked Man in the Moon. I saw that in the theater when it came out, and that was that time in Jim Carrey's career. Obviously, he's known as this comedian, and this was one of his first dramatic roles. And I was like really impressed, really kind of proud of this performance that he did. I think that Andy Kaufman and all that kind of theater performance comedy of just being these characters, I think, that's a big old fucking bag of theater kid bullshit. Frankly, I think he's funny on Taxi, but the whole thing of just going to comedy clubs and picking fights with people,
the wrestling,
and fighting with Letterman, and Letterman's an asshole too. But it's all that shit. It's just this whole art for art's sake weirdness, hokiness. And so I have a lot of weird mixed feelings about Andy Kaufman, but I did think that Jim Carrey's performance in that movie is so good, right? Not really thought of that much anymore. I mean, it's not that it was forgotten, but people don't really talk about it.
I'd be curious to see what that's like to revisit.
Yeah. Courtney Love is great in it too.
Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah, she's really good.
So good in The Truman Show too.
Jim.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I
could maybe argue that you could have maybe nominated Jim for an Oscar for this movie.
For this movie?
Yeah.
Did he get a Golden Globe nomination for this?
He did.
I always go to the Golden Globes when they get snubbed for Oscars.
Jim is a favorite of the Golden Globes. He has 3.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is he? Ooh.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
For musical or comedy.
Has he gone an Oscar before?
No.
No.
He hasn't even got a nomination, right?
Oh, really?
Not even for Eternal Sunshine.
Wow, I was just about to say.
Well, I was telling you that I would imagine that he was pretty close for The Truman Show. I think it's the most
That's a good one.
awards-friendly movie that he's ever made with voters. Maybe voters just didn't really know what to do with him in Man on the Moon. Is it Man in the Moon?
Man
on the Moon?
Oh, gosh, I'll have to look that up.
Sound like a fucking asshole saying it. But
idiot.
As I remember with Eternal Sunshine, Kate was getting all of the buzz. And, of course, Charlie Kaufman. But I feel like nobody was really talking about Jim.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the best performances of his career, too.
Yeah.
It is Man on the Moon.
Man on the
If you
Moon.
believe. Yeah. They put a man on the moon.
Like the REM song.
Yeah.
I'd be so interested to talk to Kate Winslet what it was like to make that movie with him. Because Jim is such a big personality that I think that he just kind of really absorbs what character he's playing on set and just kind of rolls with it. So it would be an interesting dynamic.
And Joel is such a subdued guy.
And Joel is
he's
such a
such kind of
subdued and quiet
like a
character.
wet blanket.
Yeah, so opposite.
Kate gets to be the big Jim Carrey personality.
Yeah.
And even, this is not going to turn into an Eternal Sunshine review, but even at the time, and I fucking loved that movie when it came out, and she gets an Oscar nomination, and I was like, really? I was like, it's a great performance, but Best Actress?
Yeah.
I don't know that there's enough there. I mean, she didn't win, obviously, but I didn't even know
there was room in the category that year.
I don't even know that it
had
merited
a lot to compete with.
Yeah, I guess so, but I think, and maybe we shouldn't rely on context of just he's a comedic actor and he's doing this role. You have to just take the role for what it is.
That's true.
But he's still good in it. But
Just give it to him.
just
Damn
give it to him. Yeah.
What are other Jim Carrey movies that we've covered? Batman Forever and Earth Girls Are Easy.
Yes.
Earth Girls Are Easy.
Earth Girls Are Easy.
He's so cute.
And Earth Girls Are Easy. He's blonde.
Earth
He's
Girls Are
bleached
Easy.
blonde in Earth Girls Are Easy. And I'm always trying to force Scott to watch In Living Color on YouTube.
You know, it's a good one with Jim Carrey where he's very handsome. Is Liar Liar? Like that's
Oh,
another
sure.
one where
Okay.
I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
a little heartthrob.
Are you
right
going to
here.
say Once Bitten?
Oh, Scott, I love Once Bitten. You know this. I've been trying to get Once Bitten on this show for a minute.
We could do a Once Bitten episode.
Minutes. Well, he's very young in that. He's like 20 in that one. Is he cute in this movie? Maybe not. But you know.
I don't know. There's certain shots of the Grinch that I think are kind of. I like that the Grinch is very body positive. I like that he has like a figure.
There's parts where like I'm like, okay, you know what? I kind of see what Martha May Whovier is seeing. You know, like the part where he like strokes her arm a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, if that was me, ooh.
Okay, so you two probably are very young. So at this time, you probably
I was in
the
high
year
school.
2000. Yeah. Okay, so were you familiar with Christine Baranski?
Yes,
because we were saying we love Molly Shannon.
And
Saturday Night
Christine
Live.
Baranski, I feel, has always been one of those actresses that she just shows up in movies that you really like The Birdcage, Addams Family Values.
Yeah.
Like Christine
Chicago.
Baranski.
Chicago, yes.
Chicago,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was familiar with her. She was on Sybil, which I really enjoyed.
Was she her sister?
No, she was kind of the patsy.
Okay.
And
All right,
that
I get
show.
that.
And she's in Bowfinger, which is 99.
Love her in
She's
Bowfinger.
So funny in that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she had an arc on Frasier for a minute. So I was fairly familiar with her. Not from any stage work or anything, but you know, Birdcage, Sybil, and Bowfinger mostly. And so in this, she's just doing some. Really,
She shows up
really
and
good work.
is doing some
Yes.
real fine work. And what a fun character arc is. Your character is going to be horny for the Grinch.
Yes. Oh my gosh. What
You're gonna be wanting to jump this guy's bones.
How did she say it when Molly Shannon says hi when they're putting the lights on?
Hi.
Daddy! Hi! Martha! My, I've never seen so many beautiful Christmas lights, Betty Lou.
Well, I'd blow every fuse if I tried to keep up with you, Martha May.
Isn't this antique darling? It's handcrafted and almost 100 years old.
Please, I'm really impressed.
This, however, is new.
I remember
my God.
that was the clip that Molly Shannon showed when she went on Rosie.
Okay.
That clip was used a lot in all of the promotion.
And yeah. And that whole the Christmas light gun.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like shot in reverse to have the lights like stuck on the house. So funny.
And then the outfit too,
These
the Santa
beautiful
Claus,
Oh my
silhouettes.
God, the
Yeah.
legs,
the deep V.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's pretty cunt.
legs for days.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, and that scene too, she like pulls out a crystal like chandelier out of
Yeah.
nowhere. Like she's like, it's vintage.
Almost
Yeah.
100
This
years
isn't.
old.
Yeah.
I mean, like
that vintage chandelier, it was giving the Grinch's homemade Christmas gift that he
Sure.
gave to her because it was like metallic.
the Grinch was
and
a
all
big,
that.
just kind of
Found object.
home decor inspiration for her and how she decorates her house.
He likes the cracked glass,
Yeah.
you know?
He's into outsider art.
Yeah.
Found objects, you know. He's into
I
all
really
that.
like that whole kind of production design element with the Grinch is, like we were saying, is that like, what are you going to do with this character to make it interesting?
Right.
And I like this whole found objects inventor thing that they do with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely like something that he does say too, is that he gets all of their junk.
Right.
So, like,
Yeah. And his lair is so cool
Oh yeah.
on Mount Crumpet. Like he's just got all that shit in there.
I want to walk around that set.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anytime there was the shots with like the rotting fruit and the rotting vegetables, I'm always like, oh my God, that looks real and it probably stank. But
And there's just something about how physical Jim is in all of his Mount Crumpet cave scenes. When he swings in on the zip line and lands in his lazy boy, that's him in the shot.
Yeah.
That's all done in one take. And you
Yeah.
could tell, I don't think that's a double.
Yeah.
When he's talking to his echo. Oh my god!
Yeah,
yeah.
Makes
Really
me
funny.
laugh
Yeah, really
every
funny.
single time.
Really funny.
Hello! How are you? How are you? I asked you first. Oh, that's really mature, saying exactly what I said. I'm an idiot. You're an idiot. All right, fine. I'm not talking to you anymore. In fact, I'm going to whisper so that by the time my voice reverberates off the walls and gets back to me, I won't be able to hear it. You're an idiot!
That shit is so funny.
Yeah. I want to go back a little bit when we were talking about Martha May and the big light gun machine.
Are you talking about the hottest female up in Whoville? We can thank
The baddest bitch.
We can thank Matt Rogers for that.
The baddest bitch in
I showed that to you
Whoville.
earlier.
Yes,
Have you ever
yes.
seen that? Matt Rogers, the hottest
From Las
female up in-
Culturistas?
No,
in
I
Whoville?
haven't.
He has
Oh,
he has a
okay.
Christmas song about.
Oh
Martha
my
May
God,
Whovier.
no way.
He has like a Christmas cabaret show, and he has a
Yeah.
Christmas song about her.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love Martha May Whovier. I just want to be her every holiday season. Like,
And you know what's interesting? She has one. Okay, everybody's Who makeup appliance, I feel like it's very specific to their face, right? Some of them are more exaggerated than others.
Some I prefer over others too.
Oh,
Well, I was
yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
say she's got like the prettiest one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like hers is like it's very subtle. It's just like it just looks like she got filler. It just looks like she got because Christine Baranski has that upturned nose, so she
Oh, she
kind of
does,
looks
yeah.
half Who anyway. So they gave her just a little bit of filler in the top lip.
She just took a vacation to
Yes,
the Dominican
yeah.
Republic, got that Who nose straightened
Yes.
out a little bit.
You know, whereas Frau Farbissina been looking crazy with that makeup. They gave her the whole fake little
Molly also looks really
Molly
crazy.
looks
And I think that's
crazy.
just because that
Molly's in Danger Girl.
we're
And
so familiar with just Molly Shannon
Yeah.
just from
Yeah.
everything that she does in SNL
Right.
and all of her movies. And there's just something about how she looks in this movie that I'm like, Molly.
But Mindy Sterling, Frau Farbissina, she has a really long upper lip too, so they could have gotten away with doing. Maybe her nose is too big, because I know Rick Baker is very much like he talked about it when doing the Planet of the Apes makeup, right? That they had to do a lot like with Tim Roth because Tim Roth got a big nose, and monkeys or apes don't really have a nose. So he's like, how do I do that?
you
right?
somehow
So-
had to fill in like
the rest
from
of the space.
the bridge of your nose
Yeah.
to kind of like your cheek.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, he's very conscious of that. So I'm sure there's a purpose.
Kind of a mess of a movie, but I love his makeup in that movie.
Planet of the Apes?
Planet of the Apes, and specifically
Fucking good.
Is
Tim
that the
Roth's makeup.
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark
one?
Wahlberg, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Helena Bonham Carter, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Helena Bonham Carter looking like... I'm not even going to say what she... but okay.
A little Michael Jackson.
A little Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
So
yes.
so I think Martha May, she's got like the prettiest Who.
Her teeth too aren't as
not as crazy.
And at the end of the movie, she kind of has a Lana Del Rey vibe going
the
on.
long hair.
Yeah.
Oh my god. She finally lets it down. Because the kids, like Cindy Lou and the children, they only have buck teeth put in. They don't
Right.
have any makeup on. Because their noses are so teeny, little kids.
Yeah.
They
You
kind
just have a
of
little
they
teeny
probably
nose.
did like a little red.
yeah, that
yeah,
little
beauty
contour.
beauty makeup. But no,
I read that it was because of
appliances.
I guess like the child labor
Oh,
or
sure,
like the child
yeah,
actor that they
yeah.
couldn't be under like too many prosthetics.
Right.
Or I think
But
even
I think it works though.
Well, I think even this young actress, Gossip Girls,
Taylor Momsen.
Yeah, Taylor
Taylor
Momsen,
Momsen,
yeah.
and her feature debut.
Okay.
And I would suppose that they wanted her on set for as much
As
time
much
as
as-
possible,
yeah.
so they didn't want her. They don't want to take up time with her in the makeup chair.
Yeah, I would imagine time in the
Yeah.
chair
True, that's
counts
true.
as time
Yeah.
on set. So, but I think it works. I think kids have little teeny noses anyway. You don't really grow into your nose until you're a teenager. So they're just like, all right, let's give them buck teeth. And they look good. But yeah, I always found it so interesting that Christine Baranski, I was like, oh, she barely gave her like a hint of Who makeup, but it works. It
dash of Who.
Yeah. Yeah, dash of Who. But then you get Molly and Frau Farbissina, and you're like, ooh, mama.
Looking crazy.
And,
Looking cray.
The dad, what's his name again? The actor that plays the dad.
Bill Irwin.
Oh, sure.
Bill Irwin, and he has like that kind of
Lulu.
like round body
Yeah,
shape too.
yeah.
Like they all kind of have that like cartoonish figure
Yes,
too.
yeah.
But not
Because the Grinch has that kind of spare tire body that it's a little similar to
The Grinch
to
mainly
Lulu.
just has a really big ass and a big belly.
Yeah. Yeah. But Bill Irwin's doing some funny stuff, especially because he's got this like bodysuit going on when he's like in the post office and he's like dodging pillars and like jumping up and down the ladder. But he's like, you can tell there's like no weight to the to the suit, but it looks, I don't know, it looks kind of cool.
Jury duty, blackmail, chain letter, eviction notice.
So, okay. I will talk a little bit more about the look, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
Because I think that the look of Whoville with like the kind of like bubbly cars, everything's kind of made because they don't just want to use like a phone. They're going to make a phone, right? But I think some things are a little bit more successful than others. Some things look a little bit like a toy, and some things look like a real like something that you could use. The cars look fine, but there is a phone that's like ringing, and I'm just like, "Oh, mama, that looks a little Cat in the Hat. It's a little toy."
I mean, I think
Price.
that it really hits into home of maybe how weird these sets look, and maybe a little cheap. Of when you're on the backlot tour, and we mentioned before, when you're rounding the corner to the Bates Motel, and Whoville. A few years ago, it used to just be on display,
rotting
right next to the Bates Motel,
getting sun bleached,
and just seeing these sad sun bleached styrofoam sets,
and you're like, "Oh, big hunk!"
Just like
taken
the
out of them.
illusion is shattered, mama.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably better that they're not there anymore because
I don't know. Kind of iconic though.
No, that was cool.
I loved it.
It was cool.
I think I would take
drive this to the dump. Let's just use it as a, it's an attraction.
Give the
now.
kids a little something extra to see. Some more bang for their buck. But yeah, I think the overall the look of the set and the big archway, because the big arch is in the cartoon and it's kind of like this iconic entrance into Whoville. It's very busy, but
I was mentioning before of this was probably early use of physical sets bleeding into green screen.
Right.
Then I mean, of course, it would have been done at that time. This is the year that they did Gladiator, that had a lot of set extensions.
Yeah,
but I think that to this scale, that some of these effect shots I think are pretty impressive.
I think what they did was they had so much of the town, and then I think they would kind of like layer it to look like it was further and further and further back into the distance to make the town look bigger than it actually was on the set. I mean, it was big.
Does it still look like you're walking around a soundstage though? A little.
It doesn't look like it's outside at all. I'm like, this is on a set, but it's impressive because they had to make everything. Yeah, right. They could, like we said, we couldn't just use
and like we were mentioning that the Grinch's cave. I want to just wander around this set.
Oh, yeah. And then, do you remember when we went to King Richard's?
The antique
store.
The
antique mall. Yeah, in Whittier. And there was film-used props from Cat in the Hat.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was a desk, like a secretary's desk that Kelly Preston... Like she was at work, and it was like her desk, and it was green,
and that's like an old school office.
It just looked like a teacher's desk from like way back in the day, like big metal and wood, sturdy ass desk, that you couldn't move yourself. But it was painted bright green because the color scheme in that movie was so bright. And we were just like, oh, that's cool. But then when we looked at it, we're like, it's just a desk. It doesn't look like anything. So that
it's just a green desk.
Yeah, they just were like, we'll paint it lime green and it'll match.
Yeah.
But yeah, King Richard's always finding fun shit in there. We love an antique mall. I had a friend of ours that is from the UK, and he's like, I love going to antique malls in the US because it's like Tupperware from the 70s. He's like, bitch, antique malls in the UK are like a piece of the true cross.
Yeah.
Is that
the cup
cursed
of Christ?
Baby doll?
Yeah. This is some real antiques up in there. He's like, your antiques are like vintage. That's not antique. I'm like, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. I just like to buy old Barbies. But yeah, the oftentimes seeing sets
up close
in person. Yeah. If you ever went to like a taping of like a TV show, you're always like, it looks bigger on TV.
Oh yeah.
You know, or when you go to like,
I remember around the time that I did this Universal Studios trip, I remember they had the sets from the Nutty Professor the Clumps to walk through. And that kind of blown my mind of just kind of when you look up, you see like rafters.
Oh yeah.
And just kind of sets that lead into other sets.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
Right.
It's stuff that Universal Studios needs to do more of.
Oh yeah, or when they have this like the sound sets and like I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that like both of these things were filmed in this place.
No, totally, yeah. And back in the day, it was like that. Back in the day,
and
they
I
were
think
like,
that,
stop the tour
and I
you
think
get
that
off.
they got some of the biggest sound stages for the Grinch. I think that at the time, this was Universal Studios' most expensive productions.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
too,
I think so.
It looks like it. I
Yeah.
mean, there's
I can't
lot
remember
going on.
what soundstage name it was, but it was one of the big ones. When you kind of go down the hill, and it's the big one off to the left.
Yeah. One that they did not tear down to make Super Mario World.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Super
that was
Nintendo.
Well, that was the haunted one where they did like the Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, the one they tore down was haunted. Oh, how sad.
So now it's released the spirits.
I was going to say, is Super Nintendo World haunted now?
It released the spirits into Super Nintendo World.
Mario Kart ride is just like. It's got,
I mean, it's
Lon
roughly
Chaney.
where the Mario Kart ride is. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. All right, come up here. We're gonna cry. All right, so we talked about the look, which we love. Martha May, we love.
I want to talk a little bit about the queer coding of the Grinch.
Yes, we gotta
I
get
do think that there's something very interesting going on, and it maybe just kind of lends in the material that the Grinch is just kind of this othered outsider to Whoville.
Yeah.
That I think that you can easily project kind of queer identity on.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
even with
definitely.
Jim's like crazy performance when he's doing his little fashion show,
Oh yeah.
like all of those
It's a
really
kilt.
all of those really fun camp
Sicko.
elements.
Sicko.
His little garter.
Yeah. His garter belt. That's the little judge.
Yeah, a little pizzazz. I think a little bit of Jim's performance and coming from being a comedian in the 80s and the 90s, you're going to throw in little like gay jokes in there. And it's like, all right, that's going to be in there. But I don't know. I think, and I don't think any of it's offensive at all.
No,
I think it's funny. Yeah.
I also think the bullying backstory, I think, speaks a lot to the LGBTQ
Yeah, definitely.
community too.
I think it's like it speaks on to just like the feelings of like the holiday season when you have those like, I mean, you feel like an outsider. You have the like maybe you're outsider in your family, and like you want to participate. There's something in you that like wants to join in, but it's like you ultimately will sometimes get rejected. Like or the chance of it.
Yeah. You know what I love is memes about being the one gay cousin at the holidays.
Yeah.
And I feel like Grinch is kind of giving off that energy sometimes when he gets to Whoville.
that cousin that went away, and now you understand why they don't come around anymore.
Yeah.
I remember seeing memes of when he's looking through the Whoville phone book, and he's like, hate, double hate.
Alphabetically.
No. That's
Entirely.
when you're on your hometown grinder. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Not opening Grindr at your hometown. Yeah, and I mean, there's just something in his performance that it's like little effeminate mannerisms of just like the way he uses his hands and the way he uses his body, and it's like it's fun. I don't know. It's funny, and it's a character, but also it's like there's something there.
I mean, does it make sense that the little Grinch had the crush on the Who that looks like Christine Baranski?
Oh, that's
and it followed him into adulthood.
He just picked the cuntiest girl in class.
Right. Yeah.
Like that one. That's what I'm supposed to have a crush on.
That's true. That one.
It's heteronormative.
It's the beard. He shaved off his beard. Got
the muscles.
The muscles.
Yeah.
Or she's like, "What? Did I have a crush on the Grinch?" And she's like, "Oh, I didn't ask that." I was talking about that too. I was like, kind of watching this movie, it's like the bisexual struggle. Like, am I attracted to Martha May or am I attracted to the Grinch? Like it's the feminine man that I'm like, I can't stay away.
Yeah.
And then the cuntiest girl, like, I can't tell if I want to be her best friend or if I want to sleep with her, like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of like Miss Yvonne in Martha May, Whovier, like the hair and the most beautiful woman in Puppetland, just like having all these men just like chasing after her.
Martha May would fit in on Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Oh yes, she would definitely live in Puppetland.
Paul Rubens would have been really good in this movie.
Oh yeah,
I would have loved to have seen Paul as one of the Who's.
He could have been the mayor.
He could have been the mayor.
Mayor, the dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the dad. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, love it. There's going to be a documentary about Paul.
I can't wait.
It's going to be on Max. Ooh. It was on their little coming in 2025.
Good.
And he's part of it. He's like in it.
So
they produced it like right before he passed away. Oh, wow. Because he was like the first image was him like talking. I think that's where that quote came from, where he said, I think it's really weird when people that know me call me Pee-wee.
Sure.
He's like, you know me. Anyhow, there's just a sensibility with the cast, with the performances. I don't know. I'm sure it was not intentional at all, but I think there's just something that came from everybody.
Yeah.
That was just like, yeah, we get it. We get it. We don't have to talk too much about it, but this swingers key party.
Yeah, we didn't mention that
in Whoville.
I mean, even how that scene starts up of the Grinch being dropped off by. I mean, it's pretty much a stork.
They're not the storks, but balloons or whatever.
The Poombur sellers.
Yeah, I forgot what they said. What they called them. Yeah.
Some weird ass shit.
Yeah,
it kind of looks like your boss.
Like it looked like what?
It kind of looks like your boss.
Oh yeah. He looks just like your boss.
Yeah. But is dropped off on his grandma's doorstep while they're having this
annual
Christmas
party.
Yeah, this every year, and I'm sure they all look forward to it.
The shot of the key bowl,
and they're dropping off their big ass Fisher Price like baby teething ring keys.
When I was younger, even so, obviously, I couldn't wrap my head around it. I was these adults are just getting drunk at a party.
Yeah.
But even getting older, to drinking age, I was like, oh, they're just they're putting their keys because they're drinking.
No one wants to drive home.
Literally,
no one
exactly.
wants to drive home drunk. Well, I knew what that was when I was in high school when I first watched.
Because you saw the ice storm.
Because I saw the ice storm. That kind of walks you through the logistics of a key party. So I knew what was up.
It wasn't until Eyes Wide Shut.
Where did I first learn about a key? I don't even know. It must have been on fucking It's a Living or some weird 80s sitcom, because I knew about it, but I didn't learn about it.
It's a very special episode
of Three's Company or something. I don't know, but somebody told me about a key party. It had to have been some sexy horny TV show that I was watching that probably shouldn't have been watching. But yeah, I've been new. But the two possibly life partner grandmas,
the roommates,
even when Grinch was a baby, and he's a full grown man. We didn't know how long these Who's and the Grinch live, but he's a full grown adult man in this movie. He's being dropped off as a baby first day, and they are dressed like old ladies in the shawls and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
They're still dressed like Diaz 30 years ago.
Yeah.
How old are these women?
They're still living.
Well, yeah, Scott goes.
Are you two still living? Yeah.
He's like,
you're old biddies.
Yeah. They've always been old.
That's true.
But they were still old even then. In the context of this movie, it'd be like the 60s.
It's like the Golden Girls, maybe.
Yeah.
They just hit that age and they just look like that.
You just look a certain way. Were crocheted shawls sexy at one point for young women? I don't know. But that happened. Oh gosh, there was one thing that I wanted to mention. I forgot. I'll bring it up.
In that scene too, you see them all in the background, giving piggyback rides, chasing after each other.
No, they are being wild in that party. It is off the chain.
And they're old too.
And they're old. old. And they're all old. Oh, my God. I love it. Yeah, Citizens of Whoville.
Wild and out.
Looks like a fun time. The sexy teens at the beginning. Oh. Those girls had like minimal makeup too. They just had like the big lip.
The blonde, yes, yeah. Miss Daisy De La Hoya. Doesn't she look like she looks so cute? That's who she reminds me of.
Yeah, I see it. Oh my God,
I see it every time.
Daisy,
Daisy of Love. She ended up on Whoville.
Was she the one that was on Ink Master?
I don't know.
Ink Master.
She was on Rock of Love.
Rock of Love. Yeah.
Michaels.
I think she was on the Kat Von D.
Didn't she just work? Didn't she just work reception?
Oh, did she?
I think that was Daisy. I think that was the same one. Is this one empty? No, this one has someone on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sounds a little bit.
If you want some more wine, help yourself.
For sure. Thank you.
So you guys were talking about the teens.
Oh, yes.
The sexy teens.
There's something about
horny teens.
We mentioned about unsettling Who makeup. These two Who boys.
The boys. They totally
their
like
also look insane.
Their hair, like the whole look is
the clown shoes.
A lot.
Yeah.
And then when they come down from the mountain,
and they're all frozen.
They're all frozen. Yeah. It looks weird.
It is very freaky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the less successful.
It's one of those moments where with the production design and the makeup that you're just like, have we gone too far?
Yeah, have we
gone too far with any of this?
The uncanny valley of the Who.
Yes, let's rein it in just a little bit.
Which makes me thankful that Jim's makeup is as good as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Rick Baker talk about just kind of the various makeup tests that was his original design that he did. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of tried out other things and then they came back to that design later on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And he did it on himself and it looks like Jim Carrey.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It looks like what it is in the movie, but it's Rick Baker under it.
You heard that everywhere in the press when Ron Howard did the full makeup. On set, and he surprised Jim.
Oh, I forgot about
They
that.
love that fucking story.
It's a good story.
Mm-hmm.
For solidarity.
I remember what a huge deal it was when Jim did Rosie O'Donnell. Because I think that Jim at this time, he did shows like Oprah or Conan.
Yeah.
Like he did people that he wanted to do, but Jim didn't do a lot of press for certain movies.
Right.
He does an Oprah shout out in this movie too, or like a little, it's fabulous.
Well, I remember the big story on Oprah that I still remember to this day of that. It's that he told Oprah that when he was a struggling comedian that he wrote himself a check for $1 million that I'm going to one day cash this. Mm-hmm. And he made it come true.
Yeah.
I'll always remember that.
Mm-hmm. Was this the one that he got $20 million for?
I'm sure that he got $20 million for this. Well,
movie. The first time he got $20 million for something, it was like a huge deal.
Was the cable guy?
Maybe it was the cable guy.
Yeah, because and that was a big deal.
And then it was a flop.
Everyone hated it.
Yeah, it was a flop. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that he made a lot of money on this movie.
Yeah.
And probably got box office back points too of its gross.
I feel like this movie kind of like cemented him as like a little darling too in Hollywood.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Like comedy, like go-to person.
Well, his 2001 was kind of a rough spot.
2001, the year after.
when he made The Majestic.
Oh,
that was like when he really tried to do a sincere Oscar movie, and it really didn't work.
Oh,
yeah. No one talks about The Majestic.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Oh, well.
But yeah, I remember his appearance on Rosie, and it was like a huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
But let's talk about this picture of him in full makeup with Eddie Murphy.
They would have been on set at the same time.
Running into each other.
So, listeners, there's a picture of Jim and Eddie Murphy, and Eddie Murphy's in the full
Nutty Professor.
Professor Clump makeup.
Yeah. And Rick Baker.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Eddie's been working with Rick Baker since SNL.
Oh, really? Oh, he did the makeup for both?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Eddie Murphy kind of... not discovered Rick Baker, but he brought him with him on every movie, and he's consistently done the like multiple characters and Coming to America.
Sure. Well, also
he turned him into an old Jewish man.
And speaking of Eddie Murphy has a working relationship with John Landis.
Yes,
and he did American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's all where that comes from.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Nutty Professor holds up.
Still funny.
I still still
Earl
really
Scheib.
funny.
Earl Scheib, bitch.
But also one of those movies that I think
fat
that
she gonna
it's
nail
really
Earl Scheib.
successful at being sincere when it needs to be, too. There's just something about that scene with his mom
Oh,
when she's talking to him outside of the door.
yeah,
So good.
yeah, yeah.
I got to give that one a rewatch.
But it's Eddie in the makeup.
Eddie in a fat suit.
Eddie in these two fat suits doing this scene together.
Yeah, yeah.
And it kind of makes me tear up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Putting on a character. Yeah.
Earl
And Earl Scheib is the first one. Janet or Jada?
Jada.
Jada's one. Janet's some
two.
The Clumps.
Oh.
The Clumps isn't as good.
No, but it's got that song you like.
I do love the Janet song. Doesn't matter what your friends tell you.
I love that
I
song. It's a Trader Joe's certified platinum song.
Oh my god! And you guys just play whoever's like Spotify, or you don't have like a corporate.
They're
like,
workstations.
There's corporate stations.
Yeah,
Or like
Starbucks has like a Spotify kind of thing partnership.
Yeah, because you can go and look at like Starbucks mixes, like on your own Spotify. Yeah, but like I feel like some corporate places have like Floyd's Barbershop. They have like their own. Like there'll be commercials and they're like, "You're listening to Floyd's like XM." Like, oh, okay. But yeah, I always found it funny that Scott always be like, sometimes it's just somebody's phone.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
Okay, that's cool. But then it'll also be like, and sometimes we just hear like fucking Hootie and the Blowfish like
Oh yeah.
3 times a day.
I think that within the past
dad playlist.
within the past year, it's a lot of Justin Timberlake.
Oh yeah,
Why?
yeah. A lot of Justin Timberlake. Who else? A lot of Creed for some reason.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Not Creed.
I'm like, why do I know the words of these songs? Yeah.
Listeners, if you want them to change the music at Trader Joe's, go to the big tall counter that's called
The Bridge.
The Bridge.
and ask them. Because they'll change it for you. No, I don't know. I'm making that. You know those Trader Joe's lies that everybody tells? Like, they'll
yeah.
make the food for you right there and you could taste it and all that. Get the fuck out of here. That's never been true. You can open it up and eat it, and if you don't like it, they'll take it back and they don't care.
I know.
Really?
I'm like, how about I go to your house and open up something? And
I'm like, come on.
yeah, because that's just how things work.
Yeah.
How do we feel about the midsummer scenes of this movie that are straight up the midsummer ritual?
I like his big May crown that he wears.
It's a little Ari Aster.
The chair.
Yeah, I like his May crown. I like the whole like costume.
But just like feeding him
The pudding.
pudding.
Yeah.
Speaking of scenes of torture, of just seeing Jim with all of this, wearing all the makeup and
Oh
just
my gosh,
seeing
getting
all
stuffed
this
with
food
pudding.
Yeah.
shoved. I'm sure that this was a really fun day of set.
That might be the day where he bites Jeffrey
Yeah,
Tambor's
I
nose
wouldn't
off.
doubt it.
I can see it. I don't approve of like movie stars lashing out on set.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I get it.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like,
When you're under this amount of stress and you're leading a movie and you're wearing
and it's so physical
that
too. I
much
can
uncomfortable
imagine how
makeup.
hot it was.
Oh,
too.
God, I
like
couldn't.
doing the sack race.
I could never.
Getting tossed in that chair too.
No, it could not be.
leading the Whoville conga line.
I saw some outtakes too from that scene where like he's doing the fudge and he's like, my teeth fell out, and then you just see like the bottom row.
Oh
of his
no!
teeth, like, yeah.
Okay, his like fake. My god! Shit! No, that's I feel like I would just have a panic attack. That's too
No,
much.
yeah, for real.
Too
Would have been an
much.
interesting scene to be an extra on and just stand around observing everything.
Right?
Jim having these meltdowns.
Yeah, just like, and you definitely could afford to just like be one of those background characters that like, just looks around.
Yeah. So in Planet of the Apes, Rick Baker talks about like, the main A cast on camera. Mm-hmm. They have lines, whatever. Then like people in the background and their makeup was elaborate, but not as like,
Sure. They're not going in for close ups.
But then there were people that were like in the background that was straight up like Spirit Halloween mask. And like, you can't really, I don't know if you could, or maybe just the people in the back, they just didn't give them anything. I don't know. Like, cause that's a lot of, these crowd scenes are huge.
Yeah, I
They're
think
full
some of the
people.
crowd was like CGI too.
Okay, yeah, that
I
would make
remember
sense,
seeing
yeah.
some like certain things though where like certain people like crawling across.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
And maybe for deep background extras, you can just do the thing where you just kind of paint their nose.
Yeah, that's
and they're
what
good
I'm
to
saying.
go.
Like maybe some people in the back, they just gave them the buck teeth.
Yeah.
And the little red doot nose, and they were just like, get out of here.
The contour.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, talking about Jim doing crazy things, like he ate that onion.
I mean, do you think that the Grinch impersonators now at Universal love
when people take them onions?
Take them onions because maybe they quit actually biting into it.
Yeah.
Oh, they would do that.
Oh, it's a big thing when
Yeah,
you go
it's
and
a
visit
thing.
the Grinch that somebody decided it would be funny to bring an onion.
Oh.
And there was a viral video
Like
going
on TikTok,
around
yeah.
of the
One of them
Grinch
actually biting.
looking at the onion
Yeah.
and being like so happy to see it.
Oh.
I have to say, usually any kind of footage I see of the Grinch at Universal on TikTok, they're usually pretty funny.
Yeah.
They're usually like into it.
I've
They're like-
heard from coworkers
Yeah.
that they kind of roast their kids, and it's a little scary.
Oh, really?
I've heard that from somebody who we used to work with.
Oh, no way.
They'll just like talk shit on your kids.
Yeah,
Just goes all out.
That's funny though. I like that.
roasting these children.
Hey, that Megatron downstairs
Yeah.
is roasting those kids too. Like the Transformers do it, the Chucky does it, like
Even the Disney
Donkey.
villains too at Disneyland.
Yeah,
they come up with some good ones.
yeah, the Evil Queen and Gaston, they get crazy.
Jack
too.
Skellington
Yeah.
will
You got me there.
roast your ass.
You got me there, bitch.
I mean, that's funny. I love it. I love it. In the movie Holes, at the very end.
God, I haven't seen holes in
Ooh,
years.
that's a good
I know, it's a
one.
deep cut. At the very end of Holes, the whole thing is that they're like in the desert and they're like all starving or whatever, and they find these onions.
Oh,
and
that's
they-
right. The sploosh.
Yeah,
or something
yeah.
Like that.
And they eat them, the actors. But I remember Shia saying that like they were apples that the prop department like covered in like paper to make them look like onions, and then they had like a part that they could bite into, and they were just apples. And he was like, "I would have eaten an onion."
Jim looks like he's actually eating
Jim
an
looks
onion.
like he's
Yeah,
eating it
that looks-
because the pieces that come out of his mouth, that was an onion. I'm like,
Yeah, you
oh
can see the
God.
layers on the inside too.
Yeah, yeah.
Jim munching on that glass.
Hey, for $20 million, well, the glass is clear. Yeah, that's
It's like sugar glass.
But for $20 million, I'll eat an onion.
Am I eating? Am I eating because I'm bored?
All those little asides.
Yeah, so
all
good.
That all
Some
those
of the best scenes
ad-libs.
of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Is there like the fabled Mrs. Doubtfire? Is there like the NC-17 cut of this movie?
Right, that's
of
what I
Jim
was
just
thinking.
going off.
There has to be
The
like
4-hour Grinch.
I mean, I mentioned before of who wrote this movie. These were the screenwriters of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I think that's
Okay.
their, like,
Oh, really?
a writing
No
team.
way.
Sure.
But
Oh.
how much of this movie is just
I think
improv
a lot
by
of
Jim?
it. I think a lot of the Grinch.
I would say
Yeah.
most of Jim's dialogue is all improv.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many like little quips in there where you're like, there's no way that.
I
Yeah,
remember
they're from out of
watching
nowhere
this with
and-
you.
yeah.
I don't know if it was your first time watching it, probably not, but you fell off the couch when he said, and this time, I'll keep it off. Not the Slim Fast reference, though.
Oh my
And that's what I'm saying about
Dead.
just kind of this pre-Shrek
Yeah.
Yeah.
movie that Shrek would be doing that a year later
Yeah.
in children's movie, but
Yeah.
the Grinch is kind of doing it.
Yeah. The green, the first evil green guy,
Like,
misunderstood.
I'm just
mean-
kind of surprised that there's not like a bullet time shot in this movie.
Yeah. See, that was the thing. I think Shrek did a little bit more like movie references, and this was more like just general pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of staying away from movies, even though like the pop culture doesn't make sense either. Like they're not. There's no Slim Fast like in Whoville, but still the joke is there and it still works. You know, when he pulls the tablecloth off the table and everything stays in place, like
Comedy gold.
But did that just happen
That-
accidentally?
Yeah, that was an accident.
Like he
I
meant
read
for
that.
everything to fall.
Comedy
but-
gold.
Everything was supposed
but
to.
but he did the magic trick without intending to, and then he goes back and knocks it over. Fucking so good.
I think too when he's talking about like his schedule, where he's like, "Oh,
Oh
like,
my God.
it's like dinner with me. I can't cancel that again.
can't
Like that was
cancel that.
improvised."
So I say that. That's another one I say every time. I can't cancel that again.
Is his voice, is he doing a Sean Connery?
I think so.
I mean, I think it's unintentionally Sean Connery.
I mean, I think every single bit of dialogue in this movie is 80 yard.
because of the teeth.
Because of the
probably.
teeth.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's true.
I mean, that's what happened on Planet of the Apes too. They had the big fangs and everything. Boris Karloff's delivery is so weird. I mean, it's just his own like Boris Karloff-y kind of accent and voice and all that. But it's kind of good that he kind of came up with something. Yeah. And I hate to keep bringing up Cat in the Hat, but it's
sure.
Like, what the hell was
what
that?
What kind of a voice is? What kind of a voice is Mike?
It's kind of Linda Richmond, but it's like I don't know. It's weird. It's a little coffee talk, but just loud and annoying. I don't know.
We found a copy of EW's holiday movie preview from 2001, and there's a little sidebar of casting notes, and they said in that Tim Allen declined the Cat in the Hat to work on the Santa Claus 2.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thought that was interesting. I don't remember that. That he was originally announced as the Cat in the Hat.
Wow. Would have been weird. Mm-hmm. But it's that thing of when you get an iconic character that maybe doesn't have an established voice, or maybe does, but you have the ability to go somewhere else with it, like Uncle Fester.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
and they were very much like, we're not doing the show from the 60s, so don't do the high-pitched, Curly Joe. Mm-hmm. Not Curly Joe, that was different, but Curly, Three Stooges thing. Like, do your own thing. And he created this Uncle Fester that is just, like, so good, right?
Yeah.
And it's like it can go anywhere. And I think we had Boris Karloff as this, like, template, and it's kind of there, but it's also something else. And it's a little Sean Connery, but it's still, I don't know, it's just fucking, it's whatever the hell it is, but it just works so well, and it could have gone kind of anywhere. Mm-hmm. And like, again, you see something like Cat in the Hat where it's like, well, wasn't as successful. He could have done anything with that voice.
Yeah.
And he did this weird, like, Yenta kind of thing. Like, I don't know.
It's so interesting how, like for the Grinch Who Stole Christmas, that Jim Carrey, like that story about him, like withstanding the fursuit and like, it's so talked about, but nobody gives a shit about Mike Myers in the Cat in the Hat.
And I'm sure that Mike Myers was just as big of a diva. Isn't there a story with Amy Hill where she talks about that?
Yeah. Is she like the first babysitter? Yeah. In the Cat in the Hat, Amy Hill. I
think she falls asleep.
She's a kind of big character actress.
She's in 50 First Dates.
She's in 50 First Dates.
She owns the restaurant in 50 First Dates.
Oh, okay.
She's and she has a story about Mike Myers having like handlers, and that like he would like and that he would do this thing where like he would ask like if you wanted like a snack or whatever, he would like call them and they would come over with like candy.
Oh my god!
And like hand it to him, and he'd like look and like have a candy, and then they'd like walk away.
Wow!
She's like, and he had a chocolate guy. He just had a chocolate guy that was just like his whole job was just to bring him chocolate. Like, what the fuck? That's so weird.
What a thing to put on your resume.
I was Mike Myers' chocolate guy for a while. I mean, I'm sure he has executive assistant.
Oh,
on his LinkedIn.
Executive chocolatier.
Yes. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe Jim Carrey has assistants to do several jobs, but I don't know. He does. I don't know that Jim Carrey he has a reputation for maybe being a little bit of a weirdo, but not being.
I don't think
an existential.
I don't think that he's a pain in the ass like that, though.
No,
from everything I've heard about Jim.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Meryl Streep and Jim Carrey were on Oprah for Lemony Snicket?
A series of unfortunate
we'll just say a series of unfortunate events.
Yes.
I remember watching that and just seeing Meryl Streep gushing about working with Jim.
Oh, sure.
Really?
Yeah.
And just how much fun she had with him.
Yeah.
I'll always remember that.
Yeah.
Just like these kind words that Meryl Streep has about him.
She really only has scenes with him and those kids.
And I don't think that Meryl Streep says that about a lot of actors that she works with, too.
Yeah. She doesn't have to.
High compliment.
That's another role that came from a book there was no precedent for.
No.
He could have gone anywhere.
The only precedent was Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, visual look-wise, but not for a voice or whatever. And there's some jokes in there that I'm just like, that shit's really funny still to this day. I think he does some really funny. He hates those kids in that movie. And it's really funny. I just think he has some like really good little asides to them that he's just like, what? Who? Like, who are you? You know, and they're, I think he does a really great job. And it's one of those things where he could have gone anywhere, could have done any kind of voice he wanted to, and he came up with a really successful one, in my opinion. I think he does a little bit better than NPH in the Netflix series, but whatever.
Didn't finish it.
Neither of us finished it.
I would like to talk about the secret banger that is Where Are You Christmas?
Oh, yeah.
Did we have the opportunity to give Mariah Carey her Oscar? Because she is a co-writer of this song. This would have been the moment that we could have seen Mariah win the Oscar.
Wait, was it nominated at all?
I think it was shortlisted and it didn't get nominated.
So she's not, because she would have been Oscar nominee Mariah Carey.
It would have been a second Christmas banger.
So she collaborated with this song with James Horner, and there's very James Horner elements of this song, and they build it into the score, and it is beautiful every single time I watch it. But this version by Faith Hill, I mean, it fucking slaps.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's such a powerful Christmas song. And there's a story that Mariah did a demo for it, but there was some drama with her music publisher at the time, her label. I think it kind of goes back to the whole Tommy Mottola stuff of when she was married to him. It was weird contract stuff that she could not.
She couldn't release it.
She couldn't release it.
Wow.
Maybe it was because it was off of a different label.
See, but that's the thing too. It's been so long, she could fully release it now, make another.
She says that there's a version of it that she recorded.
I feel like when I was listening to it, I was in my head, I was like, this is a Mariah Carey song. Like the way it builds up and everything. I'm like, why? Who sings this again? Oh, it's Faith Hill. Of course.
As much as I love Faith Hill, too,
I would love to hear the Mariah.
To hear the Mariah version.
So there's this legend that Mariah recorded a grunge album.
Have you heard about that?
I haven't heard about this.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that on the she was on a podcast with Bo and Yang.
Yeah, she was on Culturistas, and they brought it up.
But it sounded like, I don't know. It's so funny how she was kind of like, yes.
Yeah, so that's that's the thing. They're like, so release it, and she's like,
it's good. She's like,
it's okay.
She's like, I think I will.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's a good idea.
Sure.
She's like, and how would I go about doing that? They're like, it's yours. You own it. And she's like, I wonder. I guess.
And he was like, I think the interviewer's like, oh, it'd be so awesome if you just released a grunge album. She's like, yeah, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
What year is this?
Oh, who knows? 90s.
Okay, so she's a little is it before? Is it?
I don't know.
After?
I don't know the
after
details.
Divorce.
I don't know the details. Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Is she on the roller coaster yet? Is she in the movie theater?
I couldn't tell you, but it's just this, this factoid that's
so
out
interesting.
There.
When she confirmed it, though.
Sure.
But she did, and they were like, you should release it. It would be fun. We would listen to it, and she was just like,
yes.
And they're like, bro, you own it. It's yours. Why wouldn't you? And she's just like, yeah, sure. Very non-committal.
She's like, you think?
Yeah. But I don't know if it's because she's just like, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares?
Yeah.
That's not what I'm about now. But they were telling her, you could make money. And she was still like, and I think that might even be her feeling with this song of just like, yo, you know how much money I make off of Christmas music? I don't need to.
I mean, I need to. When did Mariah really embrace? I mean, of course, all I want for Christmas is you was there. Yeah. It's been there for a while.
Yeah.
But I think that really in the past 10 years, she's really gone hard as that I am the Christmas queen of pop.
Yeah, I think it wasn't until recently where people kind of made a meme out of it, where they're like, oh, it's time to defrost Mariah Carey, in time for Christmas.
And
now every November 1st we get the full video.
I think when she also posted that meme where it was October 31st, 11:59, and then midnight, it's her picture.
Yeah, but before that
whistle tone,
the bells. Yeah.
Before that, it was just oh, did you know that Mariah could go to Japan in summer and do her whole Christmas album? And I fucking love it.
And it brings the house down.
It sells out stadiums. In Asia, she does Christmas stuff year round.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that was the legend of Mariah making all this money. And that song's so good and we love it. And we were at Target and the album was there on vinyl. And I was like, I'm so sure you swear I'm going to buy this album for one song. And I was looking at it and I was like, oh shit, I think I want to buy this album.
You're like, actually, there's some good songs on here.
I was like, I want to hear Mariah sing all this.
There's some heat.
Yeah, there was.
Okay, B-sides.
Yeah, no, but they were like legit, like just Christmas carols. They were just
really?
Christmas songs. So I was like, oh shit, no. How?
I think that she does that show at the Hollywood Bowl almost every year.
Yeah, somebody was talking about that recently.
Well, she also does it like at like the Morongo and stuff. Like it's not just at the Hollywood Bowl. She takes it and like not even super huge. Like it wouldn't be that expensive for us to go see Mariah do a Christmas concert. No, is what I'm saying. And I would pay for that.
Yeah, we should.
Real money.
We should try to go to the bowl one next year.
Yeah. Yeah, the original single was released with Joy to the World and Miss You Most, parenthetical, at Christmas time, close parenthetical. I guess is an original song. But now it's on like on an album. And yeah, Target had it. And I was like, oh shit, bitch, this has got some good stuff.
I remember reading somewhere that her song, All I Want for Christmas Is You, is I guess the last Christmas song that has had like that staying power. Okay. Where like other artists have tried to release like original Christmas songs, but like nothing has stuck like Mariah Carey's. Like, but everything that every other artist comes out with, like Michael Bublé, like they're all like covers of Christmas songs.
You know who's coming close is Kelly Clarkson. She's got a Christmas song that's an original. And is it Underneath the Tree?
Underneath the Tree, you hear it in a lot of commercials. Yeah. That one's pretty.
That one's getting close.
It's hard to kind of top.
I like it. I think Underneath the Tree. I mean, I go back very far with Kelly Clarkson, and I like Underneath the Tree a lot. It's an original, and but it's not touching on for Christmas Is You. But it's getting there. I think it's one of the ones, like you said, like Michael Bublé and all those
like
kids
Coldplay has like an original Christmas song that kind of didn't really. Yeah, it's there.
The Killers always have Christmas songs every year, every few years.
Oh, do they? Oh.
Yeah.
There's that Smashing Pumpkins Christmas song that I like, but I think that's a cover.
I think that this song got the only big thing that it got was a Golden Globe nomination. I think. Oh well, maybe not actually.
It's a hard market.
Oh no, yeah, it was just the Jim nomination, so they didn't even get the Golden Globe nomination. Usually the Globes go for songs like that, but not in this case.
Yeah,
but beautiful song though, and I like how it's built into the score too. It's kind of Cindy Lou's like theme.
Yeah,
too.
it is. I think they even kind of play it like in the intro, like going into the story.
Yes,
they play the little like kind of twinkling version
it's
of it.
Her leitmotif, if you will.
Yeah, and it fully crescendos.
What does the Grinch say too? He's like, "Oh, she must be afraid of reprisals because she doesn't want to sing."
I mean, and then it fully crescendos when he's on the top of Mount Crumpet.
Yes,
and his heart's growing. That's like when it really kicks in.
Yeah. Good stuff. That shit where he picks up that stupid
the muscles.
I mean, this is like the mom strength. This is like a mom like picking up a car.
That's true.
To save her child.
Yeah, I've witnessed that before too.
Not the mom strength.
The mom strength.
Can we talk about this damn dog?
Oh, the dog. How depressing is it now that this would be just like a CGI character?
Yes.
It would be a CGI dog now.
It would be a CGI dog now, which kind of bums me out.
I hate CGI dogs. I'm not a person that's like, oh, CGI, I hate it, whatever. Who cares? I'm here for CGI. If it works, it works. Mm-hmm. But dogs never work. It's like people. Like, we know what they look like.
It's like Jennifer Love Hewitt holding Garfield.
Yeah. And even that's supposed to be like a cartoon, but still weird. But like when it's supposed to be a real dog that like, what was that?
Yeah. It's
Harrison Ford movie, that Call the Wild or whatever. That was garbage.
No,
mama.
thank you. This dog was a rescue too.
Oh, was
it came from the pound.
Oh,
yep. Mm-hmm.
He looks like a little mutt. You look at that dog, you're like, what?
He looks
just
and he looks just like the drawings too.
He really does.
No, I was thinking that. I was like, wow, they really found like a scrappy little mutt that like
with that one stupid antler. Yeah, that dog is like super cute.
The Grinch thinking that he can
good faces.
The Grinch thinking that he can fool people by just strapping one antler on his dog.
If you look at him sideways, it looks normal. You wouldn't know.
Who's might not know what actual reindeer look like.
Still to this day, whenever I think of making clothes, I think of the Grinch like
cutting the shape of a shirt.
Cutting the shape of a shirt.
That's how that works.
It's so satisfying.
And then you sew the two pieces together.
When he's at his sewing machine, Project Runway style, having his make it work moment.
His Tim Guns come in through here.
Oh my God. Okay, so I said at the beginning I want to talk about the extended Dr. Seuss universe and the Who's that Horton could hear, and that I'm assuming are the same Who's in Whoville. And I want to say that in the Illumination Horton Hears a Who, they did a thing where like they zoomed in on a snowflake.
Oh, did they?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that comes from the books.
Yeah. And the zoom in on the, I was going to say that comes from, does it come from the Grinch or does it come from Horton Hears a Who? I don't remember.
Yeah, they zoom in on the Grinch.
So there's supposed to be like little microscopic people living in a snowflake somewhere. Okay. All right.
Little mitochondria.
Did you guys grow up on the animated shorts? I mean, they were probably made in like the 70s.
Of the other Dr. Seuss?
The other Dr. Seuss shorts, pretty much after the success of the Grinch.
Well,
they did a whole bunch of them.
I actually remember having, so I had the Grinch Who Stole Christmas, like the cartoon, on a VHS, but I also had like other Dr. Seuss stories that were on VHS. I remember watching them when I was little, and it was like, what was it? It was like, Are You My Mother? And it was another story, like very like basic though.
Well,
Are You My
Mother? That's from the same publisher as Dr. Seuss, but that's a different author.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah. I used to work at Barnes and Noble, guys.
You're the one to know then.
Yeah,
I don't remember the cartoons after the
Are You My
Grinch.
Mother is P.D. Eastman.
Oh.
But it was from Dr. Seuss's publisher though.
Oh, okay.
And the little cat in the hat was like on the cover.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember having like those VHSs were like my bedtime ones.
I used to love the Sneetches.
The Sneetches.
Sneetches,
yeah, the stars on their belly.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, so the Grinch was released in 1966. Chuck Jones. But the thing is, when it starts, it says like Cat in the Hat animation, like it says like Cat in the Hat Studios, or something like that.
And they went on to do all.
So
of
that
these
made
other
me
shorts.
think that the Cat in the Hat was first, but I don't think it was. I think this was first. Yeah. I didn't really watch too many of those as a kid, and really the only Dr. Seuss book that I remember was One Fish, Two Fish.
I used to really love
Green Fish, Blue Fish.
I used to really love the 500 Hats of Bartholomew Cubbins. I had a big hardback book of Dr. Seuss that had all of these in them.
Oh, really?
Used to like the Lorax, even though there's a darkness to the Lorax that I always was very fascinated with, because the Lorax is a very depressing book. I mean, it definitely like speaks to now.
Oh yeah.
And just how grim the future is.
Okay, so in How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the TV special at least, Cindy Lou Who is straight up like a baby.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, she's like the size of an ornament.
Voiced by June Foray.
June Foray, okay. Yeah. June Foray is Rocky from Rocky and Bullwinkle.
She's Tweety's.
She's Granny.
She's
Granny from Sylvester and Tweety. She's a very, very prolific voiceover actress from mid-century. But yeah, I just always thought it was funny that like Cindy Lou Who is fully like a Maggie Simpson, like a baby, the size of an ornament. They have all the Who's have like antenna.
Yeah.
Like they look like little bugs.
Oh, they do, yeah.
And they're of varying sizes. And they do that in the movie. Like they've got the little teeny Who's. So I thought that was kind of...
Yeah, there's one that's like in a trumpet.
Yeah, there's one in the trumpet, and then there's the little couple in the car.
You did the right thing.
When he sits on the... Yeah, when he commandeers their car. So they throw that in there, that like there's all the different sizes of Who's. But they can't, I mean, I guess it makes sense to age up Cindy Lou Who. They can't ever be a baby like crawling up Mount Crumpet. So I guess in the interest of making the story make sense, we're gonna age her up to Taylor Momsen, who's about 7 or 8, I guess.
Do you remember her short-lived music career?
Yes.
I remember she had a rock band.
I know the
She
name
went
of the
really
band.
gosh.
She did, yeah.
I remember her she had Black Cross pasties on.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god,
that's edgy.
She's not Cindy Lou Who anymore.
No.
This is not Jenny from Gossip Girl anymore.
Was she? Did they do a thing where they aged her up on Gossip Girl and replaced her, or she, the character was younger?
I think.
Or am I thinking of?
I think they just wrote her off.
I'm thinking of the OC.
Well, I mean, Marissa dies, and then her sister is like the Marissa replacement.
But her sister was 7 in the season.
They recast. They recast. The sister.
That's what I'm thinking.
They recast the sister.
In season 1, the sister's 7, and then Marissa dies, and then now the sister's a teenager.
They're just kidding.
Oh.
She's 15.
Yeah. She's at boarding school all this time. Things happen in Swiss boarding school. But yeah, I mean, the animated special is super charming. It's 25 minutes. Okay, so here's another thing. It was on NBC last night, and we watch it, and at the very beginning it says edited for time and content or something.
And I'm just like, what the fuck are they editing? What the hell are they taking out?
And I said, I think they're running the song at the beginning a little faster.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think that was
There was also no credits. As soon as it finished, they went right to Frosty.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I think
interesting.
they cut out the closing credits, and at the beginning they sped it up a little bit, and then that was all they took out. Yeah.
Is this one of those the cartoons that has the credits at the beginning though, where it's
there was a lot of credits at the
like,
beginning. Yeah, there was a lot at the beginning. Yeah. Yeah, and then they went into Frosty the Snowman, which I also didn't watch as a kid.
I used to watch
the
Frosty
animated
the Snowman.
Frosty.
We just had this conversation, Pete, on our last episode.
I know.
We just did the Rankin Bass specials on this past week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I want to be a dentist.
Yes. I watched the stop motion. I didn't watch the cartoons, but there was a lot going on at Christmas. When you're a kid, man, that entire month, you're just
Yeah,
your schedule is full.
Yeah.
Every night you got stuff. And I was surprised, actually. I mean, we're recording this on the 6th, so they showed The Grinch yesterday. I was like, it is the 5th.
Oh, tonight, Pete,
weeks left of December.
Tonight they're airing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on NBC.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because I mentioned on the last episode that NBC got back all of those specials.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Oh.
they were on ABC Family.
I believe that
That's
the
right.
Turner Networks had The Grinch when I was growing up. That's what my copy was.
Oh yeah,
Is
the
that it was
TCM.
recorded off of TNT.
Oh TNT. Oh
TBS or something. Yeah, one of the T's.
I think that was probably I had recorded the 96 airing, which would have been the what anniversary was that? So it was broadcast in 66, 78. It would have been the 40 year, right?
Yeah.
70, 80. No, the 30
30
year.
30 year.
Yeah, the 30
I'm
year.
I didn't turn 40 then. What? Okay. What else do we have to? Is there anything else we want to cover from the Grinch live action feature length extravaganza?
I mean, we can leave
Talked about Kelly the dog.
We can leave the NBC Live Grinch.
They did a live one,
you remember
like
that?
a music. Oh my god!
I don't remember
Do you guys
that.
remember this?
No.
Who was the teacher from Glee?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that guy, Matthew something.
Yeah, he was the Grinch.
No way.
This was really NBC flying high off of all
The
of
live
the NBC
Crap
Lives.
they've been doing.
And
I remember when they did it. Was that before A Christmas Story? Because I know
I
they did
remember
that.
that.
I think
with
it
Maya
was.
Rudolph.
We watched
Yeah.
A Christmas Story.
What?
Okay, so it's the Grinch musical ! From 2020 with Matthew Morrison as the Grinch.
2020. That explains a lot.
That explains it. We were all in a daze.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's what caused.
They had shot it like a year before,
Okay.
and they were just holding it for something.
Oh wow.
And this is a little so this is was it a Broadway stage musical? Okay. So this plot is not the movie. This is the Broadway production, which I did not even know there was.
Same.
I knew about Seussical.
I mean, I remember Seussical being a big deal
Yikes.
at the time.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
So anything kind of left untucked. I want to end on a game on this
Ooh,
episode. We have done this game before.
All right.
It is the box office top 10 of the year 2000.
Oh, mama.
But before we get into that,
mama.
any
We're
kind
gonna
of
be
last
bad on
thoughts
this.
about the Grinch?
I just want to know what look you guys would go with for Martha May Whovier.
Night of 1,000 Martha May Whovier.
Night of 1,000 Martha. Or even like the Grinch do with his little sweater. But Martha May, she has her looks. So
I like her interview look.
Oh, yeah.
When Cindy comes over and is talking to her when she's sitting on her couch.
And that one too. So
a very well-appointed living room. I like that one.
I was looking at the background of it too. I'm like, oh my gosh, her chimney setup is amazing. But I was reading too that she had in that scene she has jewels from the actual ornament that the Grinch made for her in her hair.
Sure,
Yeah.
a little piece of it's with her.
See, all right.
I love that little piece of costume design. What about you, Pete?
Gosh, I don't know.
What are you walking the Whoville runway with?
I really like her intro look. Hi.
And that's like her sexy Miss Claus look too.
Yes, that's a sexy Mrs. Claus look.
You're coming on strong with the sexy Mrs. Claus.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of looks to.
And then she has the Whobilation gown too.
Yeah, the Whobilation gown is really good. Because that's a little bit more like formal wear. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think I might stick with her intro sexy Mrs. Claus look because I like all the leg that we've got going on.
Yeah, it is a lot of leg.
Yeah.
I like that she has a little moment with Molly Shannon.
Oh yeah.
When they help stop the sleigh.
There was that deleted scene they had with them too, where it was like I think Molly Shannon's talking about the light, like the decorations. She's like, "Oh, this is the year where I'm gonna win it."
Sure,
right.
And there's a deleted scene where like Martha May, I think Molly Shannon's character was supposed to win, and then the mayor reads Martha May's name instead.
So there's so there's a whole cut subplot with that.
Yeah,
like she talks about in that introduction, and then we just kind of forget about. That makes total sense.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and sometimes like when they play the Grinch on TV, they'll include that deleted scene, which is weird. I don't know why they include that, but
it's a pretty long movie to begin with.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's a pretty sad scene too. It's kind of like. I guess Molly Shannon's Who doesn't really get a redemption after that, you know.
But I like their little moment.
You know what?
Yeah, it's
what I
very
like
cute.
when they're slowing down the sleigh.
I like when she's little kid Martha May Whovier and her hair has ABC and braids.
Oh,
cute.
So, yeah,
I really
very
like that
cute.
look.
All right, what about you?
Ooh, I mean, it would have to be like a toss up between her ending look and that gown. Well,
sure.
The light blue one.
Her Lana Del Rey
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, the with the fur on
robe,
the
yeah.
Oh my gosh, you can't get. I'm like, of course she sleeps in that, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Her Veronica Lake hair.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I do love the classic Santa Claus, like that's the deep V neck on there. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Whole lot of look. We love it.
Okay, so we're going
let's
to
get
wrap
this
up
game
the
on the
episode with the box office top 10 for the year 2000.
Okay.
It's an interesting collection of movies. We have sequels on here. We have comedies. We have action movies. We have some animation. So I'm going to say, we have played this game before. I'm going to say the movie tagline, and I want to see if either of you two can guess what it is. So at number 10, she brought a small town to its feet and a huge corporation to its knees.
Ooh, I think I know.
Go for it.
Aaron Brockovich?
Aaron Brockovich. 125 million at number 10. All right, so number 9. This is a weird one.
Okay.
For a movie that we don't really talk about anymore.
Oh, we don't talk about
You have never seen anything like this.
You've never
What a
seen
broad
anything like this.
piece of copy. I might have to go to a second one.
What a broad piece of copy.
Oh, no, I was just saying, like,
Oh,
what
oh,
a broad
that's
piece,
broad.
piece
That's
of, like,
so
copywriting.
weird.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Never seen
You've
anything
never seen-
like this.
All right, you're not going to get this.
That's too
Discover a world you've only imagined. So this is an
2000?
animated Disney movie.
Oh, I
Story?
was going to say not. No, that's not even
No, Toy Story 2 was the year
no,
before. This was a computer-generated movie that I think that Disney had a lot of expectations on.
Ooh.
It made decent money, but I think it was just a really expensive movie to produce.
Is it Dinosaur?
It's Dinosaur.
Oh, damn. Good
Dinosaur
job.
number 9. And still to this day, the Animal Kingdom section, they still have the dinosaur section.
I remember
Animal
the
Kingdom.
toy that came out with that one. It was like the little puppets at McDonald's.
And isn't
I
pretty
remember
much,
that movie.
And isn't pretty much the story just The Land Before Time?
Yeah.
Like they're trying to find the Great Valley.
Yeah, the comets come, and it's not even. I don't even think there's like a.
I never saw it.
Yeah, it's definitely something you've never seen before.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 8. He was the perfect husband until his one mistake followed him home.
Gladiator.
No.
His one mistake followed him home. He was
This is on the poster.
husband.
This is a movie that we have covered on the podcast. Let me give you another one.
Oh, I know what it is.
They have the perfect marriage and the perfect house, and then she found out what was wrong.
Is it What Lies Beneath?
It is What Lies Beneath.
I knew it.
All right, number 7.
Okay.
No mercy, no shame, no sequel, obey the rules, or die laughing.
Oh,
What?
Oh, I actually think that was 2. So the first
Okay.
one is no mercy, no shame, no sequel.
Is it...
No.
you're just gonna keep.
No
You've
mercy,
been waiting to
no
use that.
shame, no
sounds right.
sequel.
All right.
Is
the
there
second-
truly no sequel?
The second, no, there actually is a sequel. It was the year after. Okay, so the second one, like I said before, obey the rules or die laughing.
Oh wait, no, die laughing. Never
Die
mind.
laughing.
This is a spoof movie.
Is it Scary Movie?
It's a scary movie.
Wait, what's the first one?
No mercy, no shame, no sequel.
Oh,
Okay.
so that was Scary Movie 1.
That was
Scary Movie 1.
Wow.
All right. There were 5 sequels.
Mm-hmm.
And
All
there's
right.
going to be another one.
Yep.
Yeah.
They just got it.
They just need to get
Anna
Brenda.
Faris. Oh,
they
Anna.
need to get-
Yeah.
Brenda and Cindy for the sequel.
Gotta have Brenda.
All right, so number 6.
All right.
Trust a few, fear the rest. I think this one's on the poster.
Trust a few, fear the rest.
And the second tagline, evolution begins.
Okay, so it's not Mission Impossible 2.
So,
Is I think I know what it is.
what is it?
Is it X-Men?
It is X-Men.
Hey!
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, the summer 2000, that was a big deal.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a big
Ooh,
The summer
my
that-
gosh,
the
that
summer
was
that
like the
X-Men
first.
came out.
Yeah.
What was it? Spider-Man or was it X-Men first?
X-Men was first.
Yeah.
All right, so number 5, first comes love, then comes
marriage.
interrogation.
Oh,
Was Mr. and Mrs. Smith that year?
I was gonna guess that one.
The second tagline, he finally met the girl of his dreams. Too bad her dad's a nightmare. This came out the same month as The Grinch, as How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This movie made a huge money. I don't really know what the cultural staying power for this series is.
Ooh.
There's multiple movies here.
I know what it is.
What is it?
It's Meet the Parents.
Meet the Parents.
Oh,
Yep. Also, speaking of forgotten blockbusters,
Yes.
number 4, The Storm is Coming.
Forgotten Blockbuster.
Twister. No.
Close.
No.
You're kind of in the same ballpark, though.
It's 2000.
It was trying to do like a Twister like formula. I mean, it made a lot of money.
Because
Oh.
Twister was 90s, right?
the Perfect Storm.
Perfect storm.
Yeah, the storm is coming.
yeah.
Yeah.
Feel its fury.
I feel its fury.
That one's number 4?
Number 4.
Wow.
Okay, Pete.
Yes,
Finally,
Yes.
A Hero Will Rise.
Oh, A Hero Will Rise. I think that has to be. Yay. Oh. Awesome.
Got it.
Got it finally.
All right. Number 2. Expect the impossible again.
Mission Impossible
terrible
2.
tagline.
Wow, that's terrible.
Expect
And
the
I would say
impossible
I have not seen all the
one
Mission Impossible
more
movies.
time.
I would say the consensus is that is the worst Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
it's
second one?
bad. Yeah,
It's
it's
Mission
boring.
It's
Impossible
not
is with
good.
Tom Cruise, right?
Yeah,
They have
yeah.
another one coming out.
Yeah, the last one.
Yeah, that was even delayed because of the writer's strike. It was supposed to be out this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
And they pushed it a full calendar year.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
All right, so the last one, Inside a Snowflake, like the one on your sleeve. There happened a story you must see to believe.
Wow. The Grinch. Oh, Dr. Seuss's.
Dr. Seuss's.
Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Very good. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, interesting box office top 10.
Wow.
We have kind of something for everyone there.
Yeah, that's
We
definitely
have
a mix.
early superhero movies, action sequels, a Best Picture winner, broad comedies. We get some genre.
When did the first Mission Impossible come out? So in 2000.
Mission Impossible, the first one,
Yeah.
it was 96.
Holy cow.
Brian De Palma's Mission Impossible was summer of 96.
That man has been making these movies
Yeah, for a while.
30 years.
I do think Dead Reckoning Part 2 is the last one.
It is the last one, yeah. Wow. Jeez.
All right, Jess, thank
Been
you
a
so
minute.
much for joining us
Yeah,
for our Grinch
thank you for
episode.
having
This has
me
been
on. I love this
a
movie.
very fun Christmas episode.
Yeah, I had so much fun. Thank
Yeah.
you guys for having me on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we'll have you on again for something. We'll have you on for Cat in the Hat.
Coming on for our Watch With Us
No.
commentary for Cat in the Hat.
Yeah,
I
oh
think
my
that we
God.
tried to watch Cat in the Hat once.
We did, yeah.
It's I'll get this.
All right.
To kind of put a button on the conversation. It's a really beautiful movie of just when you look at the the set decoration. I mean, this movie is directed by Bo Welch.
It was
Mm-hmm.
Like
Production
prolific art director, works a lot with Tim Burton, married to Catherine O'Hara, shot by Chivo too.
Yes.
Emmanuel
Lubezki.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a lot of talented people involved, but the movie itself, terrible.
Yeah.
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 We won't subject you to that for your next,
No.
your next episode. But this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
on.
Of course. I had a lot of fun.
Oh, good. So glad. Listeners, stick around. We will be right back. To be that girl. Hi. We're back, listeners. Thank you for sticking around to the very, very end of the episode. Yeah, what an icon.
Christine?
I feel like every holiday season, Martha May Whovier really gets her flowers, but I feel like more and more she just becomes a bigger and brighter star.
Okay, so I forgot in this episode to do an official quiz on Christine Baranski because we've covered a lot of Christine Baranski movies. So we've done we've done Mamma Mia, Chicago. We've done a lot of them. So before we wrap things up with the Patreon shout-outs, do you think off the top of your head you can name her most known for on IMDb?
Let me think. Christine Baranski's most known for.
We have covered.
I'm going to say Chicago's on there.
Chicago is on there
Because it won
Yep.
Best Picture. Mm-hmm. Right? It won Best
Yep.
Picture. Okay. Chicago got
Don't
one.
think too hard
Knocked
on
out.
it.
Okay. Well,
I think there's only one that I think is kind of a wild card.
Okay, so Mamma Mia. Just Mamma Mia.
Yes.
Okay. Is the Grinch on there?
The Grinch is not there, surprisingly.
Okay. I'm going to go with Birdcage.
Birdcage isn't there either.
Okay.
Okay, so we got two.
Running out of guesses.
I mentioned don't think too hard on it. Think about one of your
Adam's
guesses.
Family Value.
No.
Mamma Mia 2.
Mamma Mia, here we go again. And what do you think the fourth movie
And
is?
the fourth movie.
So one of them, this movie is directed by somebody in the most known for.
Oh.
She has a fun little bit part in this movie. She's not in a lot of it, but I think she's well used in it.
Directed by somebody in one of the other movies?
Mm-hmm. So Rob Marshall
Meryl
directed.
Streep. Oh,
Rob
got
Marshall
it.
directed Chicago.
Okay.
Think of another Rob Marshall movie that has Christine Baranski in it.
God, I don't know. I'm mad.
So it's a musical.
Okay, a Rob Marshall musical that has Christine Baranski and is not Chicago. Mm-hmm. All of our listeners are screaming right now. They're like, "Shout, you bitch!" Into the Woods.
It's Into the Woods.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was Into the.
She's fun in Into the Woods.
Yes, she is the wicked stepmother.
She's the wicked stepmother.
Knew that. Love it. Okay, cool. We're Christine Baranski.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like I'm growing more and more of a fan of her every day, and it's hard to be because we're already.
You've been saying that for over 30 years now.
I have, and
Christine, we love you.
one day she'll
Very
one day
special
she'll be on
Christine
the show.
Baranski episode of the show.
Absolutely. One day she'll answer my emails. No, I don't send her any emails yet, but well, it's probably about that time.
Patreon shout-outs.
Time to bust a rhyme with the Patreon shout-outs. We want to say a great big thank you and hello to all of our wonderful active patrons over on patreon.com, including Jesse, Holly, Kelsey, Andrew, Stephen, Vanessa, Lee, Leah, SB, Brian, Sarah, Richard, Mark, Jeff, Deja, Amy, Erica, Anna, Mitchell, our friends at How Do You Drew, Andy, Kate, Pep, Roberto, Daisy, Kelly, Chrissy, Stephen, Laura, Thomas, Lori, Brenna, Jess, Lawrence, Lisa, Alexis, Thomas, Millie, Benny, Melanie, Susan, Paul, Jamie, Drew, Genevieve, Dawn, Josh, Aaron, Nick and Shannon, and
Ruffino. So many names. I love it.
You guys, thank you for being patrons.
Brings on the Christmas cheer.
Absolutely. You know, all of the Patreon donations go directly to keeping the show on the air every Friday, ad-free, keeping us in working equipment.
We upgraded to Canva Pro.
Yes, we did.
Thanks to the Patreon listeners. So
all of our graphics are looking nice and shiny.
All of those nice, all the nice clip art.
No watermarks on any of that clip art.
Yeah, that's the thing is that if you go back a few months ago and you look at some of the...
You might look closely.
The show clip art and you look very closely, you might see a watermark on them.
Don't zoom in on some of those old Instagrams.
Not now, though.
You might see some watermarks, but not anymore because our wonderful Patreon donations have gone directly to Canva Pro. And Mama, Canva, I was on the Canva gravy train early.
We didn't upgrade to Pro until
it took us
like a month and a half ago.
We were cheapos. But, you know, I just got some new stuff for our equipment, some new cable things, and, you know, we got like some nice bags. We love keeping our equipment great, so we put out a high quality product for you.
Yeah.
And we also get to listen to other podcasts and go, ooh, this sounds bad, Mama. How do they record this? Mm-hmm. But, you know, they don't have all of our wonderful patrons. So head over to patreon.com/movies that made us gay to find things like our TV that keep us gay.
TV that keeps us gay. At the $5 level, you will get those episodes. This month, we are talking about A Very Brady Christmas, and it will be out around the time this episode comes out.
Yes.
Very, very shortly.
Yes. You guys, I strongly suggest you find a copy of A Very Brady Christmas.
A Very Brady Christmas is insane. We have done an episode of The Brady Bunch. Will the real Jam Brady please stand up?
Yes.
It is our first Patreon television episode that we are repeating the show.
Ah.
And I feel like for something like this, it is definitely worth it.
Sure. Okay. Well, right now, A Very Brady Christmas is available on Pluto, streaming with ads.
Pluto always coming through.
With the deep cuts. So it's fine. You can watch it with commercials. It's like maybe an hour and a half.
We had the DVD in our hands at Barnes & Noble last month.
Yeah,
and we decided to just watch it off of Pluto.
I was like, do I need to drop $10 on this? I think that money is better served somewhere else. But Very Brady Christmas, oh my God, you guys, it is high horror camp. Like, no other way to describe it. So look out for that over on Patreon at the $5 level. At the $10 level, you get all that great TV plus a Watch of This commentary track every month.
Yeah.
So this month we're going to be doing...
I think we're going to be doing Home Alone 2 Lost in New York.
Lost in New York. We'll see.
Yeah.
It'll probably be out already. So
that movie is really long, though.
Yeah,
I like to pick under 2-hour movies.
Yeah,
and that
for commentaries.
I actually think it probably clocks in at a more hour and 50 minutes.
Okay.
But that movie is insane.
We'll see.
So it would be a really fun commentary.
Yeah, indeed. So check out our Patreon. Like I said, patreon.com/movies that made us gay. And see what you like and maybe drop us a donation. You can do just a month and listen to everything you can in the 30 days and then you're good to go. So thanks again for all of you that contribute over there. We'd also like it if you would give us 5 stars.
Yeah, give us 5 stars and write us some kind words.
Yes. Over on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, whichever you use. If you have an iPhone, Apple Podcast is pre-installed, Mama. Mm-hmm. Just pull down from the main screen and search podcasts and look for Movies That Made Us Gay. Smash that 5 stars, give us a review, and we'll read it on an upcoming episode. Our socials are, we're at Movies That Made Us Gay on Instagram, and we're most active on Instagram.
Yeah.
We any time that you like our posts, comments,
drop a comment, share,
repost in your stories, all that fun stuff. That really helps us out and helps us reach a wider audience and more people to listen to the show. And so hopefully it'll go on forever and ever. So check out all of our socials and follow us there. If you want to follow our personals, feel free. My name is Pete. I'm at Peter Lasagna on Instagram.
I'm Scott Youngballer on Instagram, and follow my letterbox.
Yes, indeed. Scott's got all the 2-sentence letterbox reviews of pretty much everything we see, and we watch lots of movies. So go and check that out. It's pretty easy to find. So until maybe not next week. Is this our season finale?
No. We have one more episode before the end of the year, and it's going to be our season finale.
Okay.
And we're talking about one of my favorite Christmas romantic comedies of all time.
You guys, just keep
and one
listening.
One of our favorite people is coming on for it.
Yes, indeed. Keep listening. Keep your eyes on your phone for those alerts, because I know you set alerts for our new episodes. And season finale coming soon. Then we'll be taking a little bit break, but we'll be right back in 2025. But thanks for listening as always, everyone. And we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.